Hey guys, Helen Hartsmith here again from the Heart of the Witch's Path YouTube channel. Yes, I am sitting in my car right now and I've got like morning cough, so please excuse all of that nonsense. I have been trying to find a time to remember to film this intro for a while now, and forget about it, or when I'm thinking about it, I can't go film somewhere. So by George, I'm doing it right now. It's in the morning before I leave for work, and yes, I'm in my car. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to get it done, right? So this video, it's kind of, I hope you'll find it as interesting as I did being there and filming it. So my girlfriend Leeann and I have been, making our way through the rock show circuit, and we've been, getting into rocks more and more. She does not identify as pagan. Let me just kind of state that up front, but she's super interested in lapidary work. And so I had said to her, she's been picking up various pieces to work on, doing lapidary work. And so I, said to her once, I said, you need to let me come in and film you talking about some stuff and, to let the peeps know what's shaking. And so she let me do it a few weeks ago. And I went to go put that footage together, and then I remembered, crap, Helen, you need to film an intro. So here's the intro. So take a look at this footage. I don't know, yes, I called it like Lapidary 101 or whatever the title says. I don't know how much of a series or like how often we'll go. I would like to go back and film her doing some more stuff. She's really been waiting for spring to arrive so that she can get outside and do some stuff. So I would like to go back and film more. Let's just see how it pans out. We'll see if you guys are interested and like this stuff. So here it is. Check it out. Okay, guys, so here we are in Lee's workshop. And I think she's feeling, she's like not sure how to like talk about this, so I'm gonna like prop her on, or we're gonna talk, all right, just like how I normally do on my videos. So we're gonna show you some different sections. This is kind of, would you call this like a multi area? You do a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't you show us what's on the left there?
So this is one of the four tumblers I own. 5 tumblers.
So why don't you touch it so that we can see? Yes, so that we know what you're talking about. So
this is a double tumbler.
And it's a double tumbler.
Because you have 2 barrels.
Because it's 2 barrels. I'm actually going to move the camera just over a little bit. So this is, oh, good. Yeah. Take that off. And so so you don't have to do 2 at once, right?
Nope. Cause you could do, I'm not going to dig it out, but there's the one down here that, for instance, would have just 1.
Hold that up higher.
Well, sorry.
Yep. So you're in frame.
1 barrel. So like 1 barrel, where this has 2, and it would just be half the machine.
Right.
Sorry, this half of the machine.
Right.
Where this one has the 2. So, but this one makes it super easy because you could do 2 batches.
Right.
Okay.
So you could start one week.
Yep. Yep, you could start one week, or if you had your first grit, which is generally your 60-90 grit, you could have 2 different batches going. So if you had 2 different hardnesses, or the same hardness, whatever you want to do, you could have 2 different batches. Or say you had 1 batch from the week before, and then you had a batch from the week prior to that, and you just wanted to get them both going the next week, you could put them both in this one. Or if you're lazy like I am, and you just want to just get batch after batch after batch going, hence the multiple tumblers. You could just start a bunch of batches, and when you get a batch done per week, you really have to, sorry, and I just lost the ring. You really have to scrub out. Can you see this?
Bring that down just a little bit. There you go. Yep.
You really have to scrub the inside of this out.
Right.
Because each grit that you use, you really have to scrub out the inside of the barrel, because you have to get all that grit out for fear of scratching the next batch.
Right. So you've talked about a couple of things already that I think that people might not understand.
Sure.
So
let's back up.
Let's back up a scotch. Let's talk about, first of all, let's talk about the containers.
Sure.
Because I know that you've got some different sized containers. So how much can you put of rough stone in each of those containers?
So for each one, I am a weigher. Okay. So when I was learning about tumbling, I did a lot of research, and by research, I did not watch YouTube videos. I read a lot online. I basically talked to people. So my research came from going to rock shows, talking to the actual lapidary people. So yeah, that was my research. So I would take this and I would weigh it, and you do not want it to outweigh your machine. So you can't fill it all the way up. You can
come down just a little bit.
Sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
You can't fill it all the way up. You can only fill it maybe about halfway.
And that's with your rough rock, your rough crystal.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So I mean, you can't fill it whole. You can't fill this very full.
So you're halfway. So because don't they have like an allotted like poundage or something like that? I remember.
Yeah. Yep. So like I have this. I don't know if you can see it.
You can't.
Okay.
Let me pan
down a little bit.
Let's go down. I'm a little cockeyed. There we go.
This is a big guy down here. That's a 15-pounder. And so him, I would fill about maybe halfway, and then I'd fill. You want the water to come up just so it's not even. I'm trying to remember. Not so it's barely covering.
The rock.
Not even covering. Just so it's just to the kind of the top. So when you are actually tumbling. So I'm going to plug this in real quick.
Okay, let me bring this back up here. So we saw down there the big guy. While we're down here, this red one is her big tumbler, and then these guys here are pretty much the same. Or no, the one on the left is just a 1 barrel, right?
Which one? This one?
No, that one's a 2 barrel.
That's a 2 barrel. This is a 1 barrel.
Right.
This other one that I had that I was showing you is a 1 barrel that still doesn't have a home.
Gotcha.
I'm missing the machine, but I got them free, so I wasn't going to complain.
Gotcha. Right.
And then this is also a 2 barrel.
So this is a 2 barrel that's running. So this doesn't have anything in it. None of the barrels have rock or anything in it. But this is how loud it is, but it will get louder.
It will get a little bit louder, but not much.
Right.
I mean, it kind of sounds like a babbling brook. To me, it's not loud. It's very soothing. It kind of sounds like my pug snoring.
Right.
So, I mean, it's very, I don't know, it's not very loud. I mean, you could run it in your house. And as long as you're not annoyed by it, it's not bad.
Now, is your bigger one, your red one, is that louder?
A little bit, just because it's a bigger barrel.
Because I know I've watched some YouTube videos, and those sounded like something was dying.
Yeah, and I don't know if your video allows it. I think I still have a maybe 20-30 second clip that I took, and I don't know if I can attach that to yours, but
if you send it to me, I think I can put it in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we can try that. I'm gonna plug this now because that screw came undone.
Yeah. Okay, and so you were talking about grit.
Yes.
So I'm gonna hand them to you, and just kind of tell us a little bit about grit.
So when
you don't have to get super in depth with anything.
Sure. And I'll have to have you hand me 2 more. Actually.
Yep, I will do that. Start with those guys. I'm gonna pan up a little bit.
So there are a little bit of variations with grit. These are just the ones I use and I prefer. You always are going to start with your biggest, which is going to be like what I prefer. Like I said, is the 60-90, and I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to turn this around a little bit.
Here, let me take that.
There you go.
Because it's not super.
Okay, but you can kind of see it almost looks like glitter. But that's going to be kind of your rough grit. But you start with that, and
so this is like sandpaper.
Kind of, yeah,
right?
Just like your sandpaper.
Same kind of effect.
Yep, except it's in, you know,
powder form.
Powder form. So, and I'm not going to get into how much you add just because
that's kind of a whole other video.
That's a whole other video.
And we're just trying to give an overview.
Exactly. And everything is going to tell you differently.
Right.
So, but you add that basically and you add water. So the only thing I suggest, and I've been told multiple times, add hot water. So other things will tell you differently. With your barrels, it helps with the seal. Okay, because each one, I gotta set these down for a second.
They have like an O-ring seal.
They have, and this kind of barrel is different from the red one. They have an O-ring, and then they have your lid. But when you put your seal on, it just helps seal that because
when you use the warm water.
Yeah, because they're on their side, and you want the water and everything to stay in. So, but you start with your 60/90. From there, you go to your 220, and from there, you go to your 400. Another thing. They take a long time, okay?
Right, because
let me go back.
Go like a week?
Hang on one second. I'm going to go back because I'm not done. There is a pre-polish up there. Yep. There is a...
Do you want me to take those and put them back?
Thank you. There is a pre-polish. I use the aluminum oxide.
Take it down just a little?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Pre-polish aluminum oxide. It is white. And then there is a polish. Okay, which is, I use also aluminum oxide. There are different ones. There are the red ones, which the name is losing me right now. And that's okay. Also, with these, I also use, can you hand me those two other, these? Yep, that one and the rocks. I also use, looks like I have a jar of rocks. Well, guess what? I do. I also put in... probably about, I'd say this is a 2-pound container. I would say I probably use about half of this per, half of this per 15-pound, the red one. I would say probably a good, at least 1/4 cup, if not maybe a couple tablespoons per little barrel. Mainly as almost like a buffer for the first up to the 400 grit. Mainly because it's going to help buffer those rocks. It's also going to help...
It helps kind of keeps things moving, right?
It keeps things moving. Plus, it's going to help with all of those scratches, with all of those other things. Now, I'm just going to show you these. These are lapis lazulis. These would be good tumbling stones, especially this one. Mainly because... and I'm going to
zoom in.
Okay, or I can help hold it closer. If you're looking at this stone, one, it's a pretty stone, but two, there's no crevices. There's no deep scratches. There's nothing... that's going to tell me that this stone isn't going to tumble well, okay? So if you take a stone like, oh, I'm not going to find one. That's not... No.
Yeah, because you tend to not buy one. That's me.
You're fun.
Well,
okay, here's a good one. Here's a good one. This is just a piece of burl that I was given free. But there's a really deep groove here, okay? There's a real deep scratch here. So what I would do is I would actually take a hammer and knock this off. Okay?
Because it won't tumble well.
It's not going to tumble well. I've actually tumbled a piece of this before, and this thing is going to shrink right down. It's kind of amazing to see. And it smooths right out. But this piece will not tumble well. So I'm very picky. Yes and no. I'm very picky when I go to tumble things. And so this I'm going to show you. They're walnut shells, okay? You can take some walnut shells and do them on your own, but I'm going to be cheap and I'm going to pay for them because, well, this was $1.25. There are also different buffers. This you're going to use in your polish and your pre-polish. I'm sorry, your pre-polish and then your polish.
Right, because that big container that you have, those pieces of rock, those, I'm going to pan over here. So that container right there, those pieces are going to disintegrate.
Yep, those are going to keep basically just disintegrating down. But what I do is after every single grit, so again, I do this in the summertime because, well, the water's hooked up outside.
Right, because you want to do a cleaning out outside.
You have to clean this out after every single polishing, okay? Now, what I was going to go back to is the walnut shells real quick. You do this in the pre-polish and the polish, okay? That's my opinion only, okay? Everybody's going to do it differently. I'm going to hand this to you.
Okay.
So these, when I do the 60/90 grit, I generally will let it go. I check it after a week. You put it in, you don't touch it, okay? You don't open it, you let it go a week. I maybe check it after a week. If I'm not happy, I let it go one more week, okay? That 60-90 grit can sometimes go up to 2 weeks. After that 1 to 2 weeks, if I'm happy with it, I open it and I rinse it. I rinse it really, really, really well. Okay?
Right, you have to rinse all the rocks, and you have to completely clean out the barrel.
Yep, that's what the strainer's for.
Yes.
Okay? So you have a good strainer. You also rinse your barrel really well, or again, if you're lazy like me, you have multiple things, and that's what you use, and you specify one barrel for it. Okay? And if that's what you do, fantastic. You rinse all your rocks.
Oh, right, yeah, because you have so many barrels, you could say, and you could label and whatever, and you could say, this barrel is always going to have 60-90 grit.
You got it. Yep.
And this barrel is always going to have the, what else? What do you have, 400?
Yep.
You know, and you could label it that way.
You got it. And if you have enough barrels for that, perfect. If not, you scrub that barrel. You scrub it until it looks
crevices and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Other than that, you strain these out, okay? And that's why I use the little rocks, because it's perfect for that. And then what I do is I reuse these. I reuse them if they're clean, and if they're squeaky clean, I go move on to the 220, and then so on and so forth. The 220 and the 400 grit, 1 week apiece. Okay, it's very tedious. It's a very slow moving. You got to be patient.
Right.
Okay.
So that really, like we said, that's really a whole other kind of video. And so if folks,
you can delve more into that.
Right.
But that's kind of the quick overview for
right. And we all, I think we all pretty much know, you know, we've all bought tumbled stones.
Yeah.
And so this is the kind of stuff that you would do in order to obtain that stone.
Yeah.
And so you've shown a couple of rough ones, and we all know what a tumbled one looks like. So I think we've covered tumbling and how you know, as much as we can, you know,
in a very short,
compact thing.
Yeah.
So so let's move. How you doing?
Great.
Awesome. So let's move on and let's talk about another machine that you have.
Sure.
All right.
How about the vibratory lap?
I like it. I'm gonna pause
dirty.
this. Okay, so Lee, what are we looking at here?
This is called a vibratory lap.
And what does it do?
So, unlike the regular rock tumbler, this is for if you want to take your slabs and make them polished.
Okay, so back up a scotch. What's a slab exactly?
Okay, so a slab, ouch, this one's sharp. A slab is, say you have a rock, which I have no idea what this is. This is just a regular rock.
Put it down just a little bit.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You have a rock, and you have a rock saw, which I have one outside, and I have taken a cut of it. Okay.
Okay. So you cut it.
I've cut it, and I've cut these, and did not cut this one, but I wanted to polish it. Okay. And so what I do is I take it. And the same kind of concept with the tumbler, you take your grits and you start off again with your 60-90, and what you do is you take your grit and you sprinkle a couple tablespoons and you basically make a paste all over here, okay? So what you do is you take your ring out first, you make your paste, and you make it so it is not really watery, because if it is, it'll kind of spit out.
Okay.
Okay. And so what you do is you do that, and then you put your ring in, because your ring is kind of your buffer.
Okay.
This thing jiggles. Okay. I'm not going to plug it in just because this one gets, well, it's not super loud, but basically the concept is this one jiggles. And you you can kind of hear.
And so what it does is, okay, so it's vibrating. I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit.
Okay. So basically, yeah, it vibrates the rough stone around, and you can see the grooves on this.
Right, so it looks kind of like a waffle maker.
Kind of, except it's not that tasty.
Yeah.
And basically what it does is you let it go a couple hours each. It's a lot faster than your tumbles.
Okay.
So you can actually get a rock done in a day.
Well,
which
because
is
really all you're doing is a side.
Yeah, you're doing one side. And I mean, you can flip it over, and then when you're done, you loosen this up. You loosen this up.
Ooh, let's come back out a little bit.
Maybe this was loosened. Hang on. There we go. So when you're done, you just take this off.
Oh.
And you can just take the tray, go outside, and one thing I did not mention in the last video, you never want to wash your grit down the drain.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yes, rule of thumb. You will ruin your septic system, any system you ever have.
Because it kind of like cements, right?
It is cement. Yes,
Yes.
it will just cement it up. So this is easier. It is heavy. It is very heavy, but you just take that and you just go outside and rinse it down, whatever you're rinsing it down. Come back in, tighten it up. If it is not tight enough, it is loud. It's very loud.
It'll be louder, so you'll know.
Very, very loud. But
so is that roundish one actually polished?
this one?
Yeah.
Kind of. I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
One thing I did forget to mention is sometimes you have to weight them down. So this will not stay completely, so sometimes I use tape. Sometimes I have to figure out something else too.
Okay, so that it has that.
Yes. So this one is completely rough on both sides.
So let me see that one.
Well, hang on. I'll show you this one. I'm not completely happy because it still has some surface scratches because I did not weight this one down.
Okay.
But this one, completely rough. But this is what I...
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this one at a time. So here we have... This is a slab, so you see how it's got the rough edges here. So this is unpolished. Now, what rock is this?
This is azurite with malachite in it.
Okay, so this is an unpolished slab. And then this, I'll hand that back to you. This is one that she has polished. So you see the difference. And so even this side is rough still, or unpolished, and this is polished. And that was done using this machine. I like that.
It's fun.
Yeah. So
that's the vibratory
there's
lap.
the vibratory lap. Holy cow. What is this?
Okay, so this is my Cab King machine.
What do you do with this marvelous thing?
So I probably should have grabbed my rocks. So this is what I use to grind everything.
So this is where you can make cabochons.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You can do some hand polishing.
Yes.
So like if you wanted to, could you do the same thing as the vibratory lap?
No. Mainly because these are round. So I tried. It's never got so well.
Okay, so it looks
and
like
I got that. No.
Yeah. So it looks like you've got 6 different wheels here.
Yes.
So
and a saw.
And there's a saw. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is serious play time here. So so those have different grits.
They do. You start at this end where if you zoom in, you can actually see it.
Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay.
You always start out at this end where you have your roughest grit here. Mm-hmm. And you basically work your way to the end.
Awesome.
I don't have it out.
Pan across.
I would turn it on right now, but we're gonna wait because we're gonna use it.
Right.
And it's gonna get super loud, and we gotta suit up.
Right. So this, so working with this one specifically, you wear respiratory equipment.
I always do, mainly because one, I do have breathing issues.
So that's a good idea.
Yes. And basically, the way I view it is no matter what rock you're using, you should just view it all as poisonous.
Right. Yes, because some are poisonous.
Some are poisonous, and some can really do damage to your lungs. So I view them all that way, and just be safe. Mm-hmm. So Helen, I'm making you suit up as well because we have an extra mask. So and they're pink and they're cute, so why not? So.
Right. So, but before we do any of that, so it actually has water that comes up.
Yes, and it is
to lubricate because you can't just sand like wood.
Correct. You don't sand like wood. They all have to be lubricated. So basically, if you pan down, you will see it's a clean water system, which is awesome. So
I'm gonna stop this and I'm gonna correct my my thingy, and then we'll show what you've got underneath as well.
Perfect.
So now this is underneath the Cab King.
Yes. Okay.
So what have we got here? What's on the right here?
Okay, so on the right, this bucket here is basically the fresh water. I have a lid on it just because, well, I'm anal.
And it helps keep it fresh.
And it helps keep it fresh. And you can see all the tubing. So basically the tubing brings the fresh water up. Underneath, I know you can't see where I'm pointing, but that's okay. Underneath each roller, that actually has a little tubing that sprays the water, and each roller has a on and off switch for the water.
Oh, I was going to ask that.
Yeah,
so so you can say I only want water to come on this one belt.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I have to monitor that as I am sanding away and grinding away because I can't run out of water. So there's actually a pump in this bucket here that I can take that off. You can actually see the water pump in there. So there's an actual water pump. So
yeah, I
that's
think I
cool.
can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's an actual water pump, and it's controlled. There's an actual plug-in for that.
Okay.
So then, as you see here, there's these tubings, and that is all of my dirty water. So the trays that are on here, they're going to get nice and filthy. But I clean up after every use, and I don't let it get all gross. So, yeah, I'm pretty anal about this machine.
Yeah,
I want it to last a long time.
Yeah. And then what have you got? What's on the left here?
So on the left here, these are just some. I'm also anal about. I want to know what I have.
Right.
So because some of the rocks, they all look the same from the outside. Because, you know, as we all know, as we're walking down the street or walking wherever, you're going to look at a rock and say, oh, it's a rock. It might not just be a rock. I mean, you can cut into something and, oh my God, what's on the inside?
I'm gonna pan to see the top shelf here.
Sure. And I mean,
And if you want to pull something out, go ahead.
Sure. I don't know what you want me to pull out, but so I have a whole row of moonstone. I have bumblebee jasper, jade, green opal, poppy jasper, which I'm super excited. Actually, that might be fun to cut into today.
Okay.
I haven't cut into any of that. A bloodstone. I have some labradorite there. What do I have in back? I have citrine. I have a giant piece of Biggs jasper that I just picked up. I'm super excited about.
Oh, pull that one out. Let's see that one.
Okay. So that's fun. I mean,
wait, you're not in.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Now, hold on. I'm going to zoom in so that we can see. Whoa, that's really cool. Can you rotate that?
I can.
To like another side. Oh.
It's gorgeous. I have another slab of that I can show you that's actually even more prettier than this.
Awesome.
I have some Laguna jasper. I have crazy lace jasper, sodalite. I have some fordite and some bowlerite.
Awesome.
Super excited. I actually have 3 bowling balls. I'm super excited to cut into.
Yeah, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with what bowlerite is, bring that here. I'll take that because I'm used to showing. So this is bowlerite. This is actually from a bowling ball. If you guessed bowling ball, you were right. So and that almost looks like it's a hole. Yeah. Like that was the finger hole.
Yeah.
So look at all the cool. Now, I don't know if there's any magical I don't know if there's any magical correspondences to something like that. But I mean, I could easily see activity. I could see success, being a champion bowler or something like that. So, I could see where there would be some magical correspondence. So this is basically just kind of like you've got things organized.
Oh yeah, because I'm
labeled.
Totally type A personality.
Right.
But I have malachite, Petoskey. I have a scrap pile because, there's enough in the scrap pile I can do stuff out of.
Uh-huh.
So
you could probably tumble them later if you wanted.
Yeah, you never know. So over here, some of this is just giant pieces of stuff. But also, I'll get to this bottom piece in a minute. A scale for weighing the stuff for the tumbling things. Okay. All of this is for my saw. So if you, hang on, we'll get to this in a minute. All of this down here is I also use I use my mother's Fordham.
So a Fordham is kind of like a Dremel, right?
Yeah, a Fordham is kind of like a Dremel tool, but I have all of the little end pieces, and I usually use them for drilling out things. So I have a couple of pieces. I'm going to literally walk across the camera here. But I took, am I in frame?
Here, so this is
a ruby. That is a natural ruby. And so I took a different ruby, okay, and I drilled out the center and I made a sphere holder.
Right, so if you have a sphere, that will nestle right in that little dip there. So she carved that out, okay. Here, I'm going to hand this raw one back to you, just so I can kind of concentrate on this. So she carved out that center, and you'll see she used the cab machine to kind of enhance some of the natural markings and to create some of these little, I don't know what you call, but like these little polished off areas right there.
Oh yeah.
Like little bevels, maybe you'd call them. Yeah. So here's a ruby sphere holder, which I think is like really, really cool. So there's that. Yep. Oh, and she's got cabs, guys.
These are just some of the ones that we did. I'm handing them to Helen.
Okay. So
Nothing much.
Yeah, so this is a malachite cab. It's kind of hard for me to tell. I think this is in focus, but this is a malachite cabochon that she made. That turned out gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
And that was something I just played around with. That was the first piece I ever did on this machine. Just with the Petoskey stone, I just kept grinding away just to see what I could do with the machine.
And it's really, really neat. So, I mean, it looks like a tumbled machine, but you did it all on that
Yeah,
cab.
I just kept grinding away. So I really don't even know what it is. So that is the machine. So this down here, I don't know, can you see what I'm
Yep, you can see it, yep.
So this is basically, it all sets up to the second half of the machine, what goes on the right-hand side, and it turns into a little trim saw.
Okay, so essentially the 3 belts that you have on the right that we saw earlier, you can take all of those off and you can put a saw on here.
You got it.
Awesome.
Yep, so basically I have a 10-inch saw outside that is basically, it runs with oil. So what the oil does is it lubricates the saw so it cools it down.
Right, because with rocks you always have to have lubrication.
You got it. Hence the water system with this machine.
Right.
You always have to have something running on them
And
to cool
water
them down.
in the tumblers, water in the vibratory lap.
Yep. So with the saw, water runs with that instead of oil. So outside is oil, and then inside is water.
And so the one that you have outside, that's where you could take like a super huge, well, not super
huge.
You've got a 10-inch blade.
This one is a 8-inch blade.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just a littler blade. But this one I run all by hand in here. Outside I set it up and it self-propels. So I set it up and I just let it go. So I basically set it up and I sit down and read a book. Or I sit down and just keep an eye on it is all I do. But in here it's all by hand.
Right.
So.
All right, so let's get suited up and let's play.
All right, what do you want to play?
I don't know. Let's see. We'll be back.
Figure it out.
Show us what it looks like every so often.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So I'm going to take this down and try to get more of a better shape. Okay. So I took all of that down, right? So you thinking you're going for a round? No idea. I think a round would work. Yeah, and I might kind of keep this little point up here. Not really sure yet. All right. We'll see. Or I might kind of come up. I don't know yet. All right. But I gotta be careful. Obviously, I've already taken this knuckle out with this one. Oh, right. Yeah, because they're all going at once. Yeah. but I can control each water supply.
Right.
I only have this one going right now. Is that close?
Yep.
So I'm just trying to take some of the rough edges down and trying to get some kind of...
Is there a
something.
side that you like better than the other?
I don't know yet. I'm gonna see. There's a lot of flaws over here. I'm gonna try to... Sorry.
Yep, you're good.
Gonna try to get out and chips over here and see what I got.
Okay. So how long will you stay
I can't really give you an answer there.
on that one?
I mean, on this one,
Yeah.
I can't really tell you.
Okay.
Until I'm happy with it.
So would you say that you stay on this one the longest?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
As I keep going, I keep finding a flaw that I keep trying to get out, so I keep having to keep going further on it than I'd like. But I keep finding all these little holes that pretty much are through the entire one. Or through the entire rock. So if you can see kind of on the bottom, you can kind of see, okay, you can kind of see all these little flaws down here. I keep trying to get out. So we'll see. I'm going to kind of move on and see what I can get.
Now, do you take into consideration that, you know, you don't want a cab to be that thick?
Oh yeah, I'm just playing with this one. This mine's probably not going to turn out to be a cab. I really don't know what this is going to turn out to be.
Okay.
But I can always grind this down too.
Mm-hmm.
This one's flawed all the way through. So this one's not going to turn out no matter which way I do it.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point I would probably stop. You're not getting any of this green color all the way through. So you're not getting a good green malachite on the top that you would like through the
So,
side.
theoretically though, you could leave that like that, and it's not ugly.
It's not ugly, no, but if you wanted to make a cab, I would basically shorten it by grinding off all this, which is the pretty green malachite.
Right.
But you're not getting a pretty green malachite this
Right.
way. So I can finish it and just have a, okay, but